Why these five fighters failed against Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor doesn't just win fights, he destroys careers. Five fighters learned this the hard way. Jose Aldo, Eddie Alvarez, Donald Cerrone, Chad Mendes, Dustin Poirier. These weren't random knockouts, these were calculated executions. Each man walked into the same trap. Here's exactly how he broke them. Aldo's 13-second nightmare. Jose Aldo, unbeaten for almost 10 years. The most feared featherweight on the planet. This wasn't just any champion. Aldo had crushed legends. Uriah Faber, Frankie Edgar, Chad Mendes twice. His leg kicks could break bones. Nobody could touch him. December 12th, 2015, UFC 194. Everything changed in 13 seconds. The buildup was insane. Conor had gotten inside Aldo's head during the World Tour, stolen his belt, made him chase him around stages. By fight night, Aldo was ready to kill him. That was the problem. Aldo rushed forward, chin high, throwing a wild looping right, the exact same punch he'd thrown his whole career. Big mistake. Conor had watched this exact moment 1,000 times on tape. When the Brazilian lunged forward, Conor slipped to the side, fired that left hand straight down the pipe. Boom. The king was face down before anyone knew what happened. 10 years of dominance ended in less time than it takes to order a coffee. But that was just the beginning. Eddie gets dismantled at MSG. Eddie Alvarez, lightweight champion, a guy who lived for chaos and wars. Eddie wasn't supposed to be there. Rafael dos Anjos broke his foot. Enter Eddie, the underground king Alvarez, a Philly brawler who'd won titles in Bellator and Dream. This was his shot at history. At UFC 205, he never got to start fighting. Madison Square Garden, the biggest stage in combat sports. Conor was going for 2 belts, something nobody had ever done in the UFC. From the opening bell, it was a clinic. Every time Eddie stepped in, Conor shifted angles. Every time Eddie reset, that jab was already touching his face. Eddie tried to pressure. Conor circled away. Eddie tried to brawl. Conor made him miss and pay. The southpaw stance confused everything. Eddie kept stepping into that left hand. He couldn't find his range, couldn't start the war he needed. Then came the finish sequence. Right hook, left cross, right uppercut, left hand. Each shot was perfectly placed. Eddie hit the canvas like he'd been shot. Conor stood there with both belts raised. The brawler couldn't brawl. Cowboy gets finished in 40 seconds. Donald Cowboy Cerrone. This guy had been in wars with legends. Cowboy had more fights than anyone, more finishes than most. He'd traded leather with Benson Henderson, RDA, Tony Ferguson. Nothing fazed him. UFC 246. Conor's comeback fight after losing to Khabib. Everyone thought ring rust might be a factor. Everyone was wrong. Cowboy barely threw a punch. They clinched up early. But instead of knees, Conor started smashing Cowboy's nose with shoulder strikes. Nobody saw it coming. Shoulder strikes aren't supposed to hurt, but Conor threw them like hammers. Cowboy's nose started bleeding immediately. He froze up completely. You could see the confusion in his eyes. This wasn't what he'd trained for. Then came the head kick. Cowboy got his arm up to block it, but the impact still rattled him. His legs wobbled. After that, it was target practice. Punches from every angle. Cowboy couldn't defend himself. 40 seconds, done. The wrestler's cardio betrayal. Chad Mendes was supposed to be Conor's nightmare. Short, explosive wrestler who could take you down from anywhere. Jose Aldo pulled out with a rib injury 2 weeks before UFC 189. Enter Chad Mendes on short notice. The perfect wrestler to expose Conor's ground game. Team Alpha Male had the blueprint. Take him down, keep him down, grind him out. Early on, it worked perfectly. Mendes shot in clean, got the takedown, started dropping elbows from top position. Conor was in real trouble, but every takedown cost him energy. Conor wasn't just lying there. He was working from the bottom, making Mendes carry his weight. More importantly, every exchange on the feet hurt. Conor lit up his body with kicks and punches, made him work harder for every position. End of round 1? Mendes was already breathing heavy. The whole arena could see it. Round 2 came, and the cardio issues got worse. Mendes shot for takedowns but didn't have the explosiveness. Conor sprawled easier, started landing clean shots. Then Conor smelled blood. Landed a clean left hand. Mendes stumbled backward. Conor pounced like a shark. Punches rained down from every angle. Mendes couldn't defend himself. His arms were dead from wrestling. The referee stopped it. Mendes crumbled to the canvas. The wrestler ran out of wrestling. The counter that changed everything. Before Dustin Poirier was a champion, he was just another featherweight trying to climb the ladder. This was 2014. Dustin was coming off wins over Diego Brandao and Akira Corassani. He was supposed to be a stepping stone for Conor's title shot. UFC 178. Conor had studied his habits for weeks, knew exactly how he threw that jab. Dustin was aggressive, always had been. He liked to pressure behind his jab, march forward and overwhelm guys with volume. Against most fighters, it worked. Against Conor, it was suicide. So Conor waited. Let Dustin commit to his attacks. Leaned back just out of range. Then came the counter. Dustin threw his jab, committed his weight forward. Conor leaned out of range and fired back. One left hand behind the ear. Perfect placement, perfect timing. Dustin's legs gave out like someone cut the power. He crashed to the canvas face first. Same trap as Aldo. Same result. Aggression punished by precision. The trap they all fell for. 5 different fighters. 5 different styles. Same outcome. This wasn't coincidence, this was system versus chaos. Conor had figured out the game while everyone else was still playing it. That southpaw stance forced orthodox fighters to step into his left hand. They couldn't help it. To reach him, they had to cross their feet. To hit him, they had to lean into his power. His pressure made them fight in straight lines. No lateral movement. No angles. Just forward and backward like they were on train tracks. Those feints froze them just long enough to get cracked. Conor would show the left hand, make them react, then fire it when they couldn't defend. Brawler, kicker, wrestler, didn't matter. Conor made you play his game. Once you played it, he decided how it ended. Mind games before fight night. But the physical traps were only half the story. Conor broke these fighters mentally before they ever entered the cage. The trash talk wasn't random. It was surgical. He studied their insecurities and attacked them, made them emotional, made them abandon their game plans. Aldo wanted to prove he wasn't afraid. Eddie wanted to show he belonged on the big stage. Cowboy wanted to prove age was just a number. Chad wanted to silence the doubters about his cardio. Conor gave them exactly what they wanted, then used it against them. Conor's blueprint for destruction. These weren't flukes. This was systematic destruction. Every opponent walked into the same traps. Every finish followed the same blueprint. Conor had turned fighting into a science. He'd study tape for months, find the tells, the habits, the weaknesses. Then he'd craft the perfect trap. The scary part. His opponents knew it was coming. They'd watched the tape too, but they still couldn't stop it. That's the mark of a true trap. Even when you see it coming, you can't avoid it.